Welcome to the Cozy Storytime, your peaceful space to unwind and relax. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and like the video for more cozy stories every night. So, where are you watching it from? And what are you doing right now? I hope you enjoyed this story. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let your thoughts float like autumn leaves drifting through still air. This is a gentle space, just for you, a place where the world softens, where shadows carry no fear, only wonder. Let go of the day, the noise, the rush. Let yourself be here entirely, wrapped in warmth, held by stillness. Tonight's story is a quiet journey, a whisper through corridors of old magic, soft candlelight and mystery deep beneath the stones of Hogwarts. The kind of tale that doesn't shout or demand, but invites. So find your comfiest spot, tuck yourself in, and allow your heart to slow. Because our story begins just behind the door of dreams. The castle stands in silence, its tall towers touched by the hush of the twilight, the scent of old parchment and polished wood lingering in the halls. Somewhere beyond the library, past the forgotten staircases and shifting tapestries, the air grows cool with secrets. And in the stillness of a dim corridor on the second floor, something stirs, gently, like a memory returning. You are not alone. You never were. But this story isn't about danger. It's not about winning or losing. It's about remembering, about a flicker of magic that glows quietly in the dark, waiting not to be claimed but to be understood. This is the tale of Amari and the locked box from the Chamber of Secrets. A bedtime journey through mystery, friendship, and the kind of courage that feels more like listening than fighting. So take another breath, slow and deep. The night is young, and the story is waiting. The second-floor corridor of Hogwarts, usually abandoned after dusk, hums with a soft echo tonight. One you almost don't notice until you stop moving. The sconces along the stone walls burn low, their flames wavering as if exhaling with the castle itself. A silence grows with each of your steps, until it feels like you are walking deeper into a breathless thought. Then, a sound, subtle, steady, water dripping where it shouldn't. You pause outside the door to the old girl's bathroom, the one the older students whisper about. Nobody goes in unless they have to. Not because of ghosts, not exactly. Something older clings to the stone in there, like the scent of pages too long closed. You reach out, push the door with careful fingers. The hinges groan quietly, like a warning too tired to be urgent. Inside, the air is strangely still, heavy with the fragrance of damp stone, old copper, and lavender long dried. Moonlight filters in through a crack near the ceiling, throwing silver threads across the tile floor. There, standing so still he could be mistaken for a memory, is Amari. His black robes fall like mist around him, barely brushing the floor. His hands are clasped behind his back, his chin tilted slightly as if listening. Not to the room, but to something deeper, something beneath. His hair shimmers faintly with the moonlight, though no breeze stirs it. You hesitate, your voice lost somewhere between curiosity and hesitation. He does not startle when you enter, nor does he speak at first. He simply lifts one hand and gestures toward a sink near the far wall. Its porcelain stained with time, its faucet long dry, but it ripples. Water impossibly ripples ripples at the bottom of the basin. No sound of flowing pipes, no dripping ceiling above. Just movement that dances as though disturbed from below. You step closer, hearing nothing but the quiet creak of your shoes against the tile. When you reach his side, Amari speaks, his voice low, smooth, and almost too soft to be real. "This is not the first door," he says, "but it might be the one we need." You frown, trying to understand, but his gaze stays on the sink as he reaches forward, pressing a thumb to the carved edge of one of the taps. Something clicks. A grind echoes faintly beneath your feet. Then, impossibly, a section of the sink begins to twist open, slow and seamless, as though the stone itself has simply remembered how to move. You watch in stunned silence as a round shaft reveals itself where once there was only porcelain and pipework. The air that rises from it smells ancient. Damp earth, chalk, the faint sweetness of roots long buried. Amari does not flinch, nor does he look at you. He withdraws a small object from within his robes, a box, no larger than a book, wrapped in leather that looks brittle with age. Around its edge, strange runes glow faintly in a pale blue light. The seal that binds it is cracked in places, but intact, like an eye only half blinked. Your breath catches at the sight of it. Not because of what it is, but because of what it makes you feel. As though something in your bones recognizes it. Amari turns to you at last, eyes catching yours with the stillness of deep water. "We are being tested," he murmurs. "And not all of us are ordinary." His words float in the air, refusing to settle. You don't understand. What kind of test? By whom? And what does it have to do with this box that hums against your chest, just by standing near it? You are about to ask when he lifts the box just slightly, tilting it toward the moonlight. It shivers. The glow along the seal flickers, not from light, but from awareness. It knows it's been seen. Amari holds your gaze a moment longer. His eyes reflect the dim moonlight, but the light does not return cleanly. It bends, fractures, like glass catching something behind it. And in that instant, you see it. Something inhuman buried deep within his gaze. Not cruel, not monstrous, but different, old. Your stomach twists, not in fear, but recognition. There is something about him, about this place, about that box, that sings to something wordless inside you, as if this moment had been waiting behind every shadow you've ever passed. You take a breath, and even the air feels different, as though it's been waiting for you to speak a name you do not yet know. Amari says nothing else. He simply begins to climb into the opening, the folds of his robe vanishing into the shaft one by one. He doesn't ask you to follow, but the silence he leaves behind is shaped like an invitation. You step closer to the opening. The sound from below is faint. Wind? Whispering? The shaft descends into darkness that doesn't feel empty. It feels full. Of what you cannot say. The box remains open in your memory, even as Amari disappears from view. You kneel beside the sink, your heart not racing but slowing, deepening, as if sinking to an older rhythm. Your fingers touch the edge of the stone, still warm from Amari's hand. There's no fear, only the weight of something beginning, something vast, slow and old. You take one last look at the moonlight brushing the tiles behind you. Then you begin your descent. The descent is quiet, but not silent. Your feet slide gently, against the curved stone walls of the shaft, slick with centuries of damp and moss, as the narrow passage spirals deeper into the castle's underbelly. With every step, the sound of the world above fades until even your own breath feels too loud, echoing faintly like ripples through still water. The air grows heavier, filled with an ancient cold that isn't merely temperature. It's the cold of untouched spaces, of histories hidden too long. The scent of the earth sharpens here, rich and loamy, like something breathing just beneath the surface. A strange sweetness lingers too, something like burnt vanilla or old candle wax, like the forgotten dust of spellbooks never opened. The walls around you pulse slightly with a kind of magic, as if they remember footsteps long vanished and are listening again, curious, attentive. Eventually, the passage opens into a narrow corridor, cloaked in a dusky blue light that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. The walls are uneven, carved not by hands but shaped over time, as though the magic here had eroded them into purpose. Ahead, Amari walks without looking back, the box cradled in his arms like something precious and dangerous. You notice how he steps carefully around certain stones, as though some parts of the floor remember more than others. You follow his path instinctively, your body responding to something you don't fully understand yet. An undercurrent, a presence, quiet, but watching. It's not malevolent, but it is vast, and it knows you are here. The corridor hums faintly with its breath, like a sleeping giant beneath your feet. A door appears, carved directly into the wall. A monolith of dark stone, its surface etched with ancient runes that shimmer in response to the presence of the box. Amari stops before it, his head tilted slightly as if listening to something beneath the silence. You can feel it too now, a faint murmur, just below hearing, like a lullaby sung in a forgotten tongue. It tugs gently at your mind, not invasive, but intimate, brushing thoughts you didn't know you had. Amari raises the box slowly, and the runes brighten, flaring with a soft golden light that doesn't cast shadows. The door breathes. You feel it. Not metaphor, but sensation. The stone exhales, and with it comes a gust of warm air, thick with the smell of candle soot, salt, and something sharp like iron. When the door parts, it doesn't creak or groan. It dissolves, grain by grain, into mist. Beyond it, the space widens into a long chamber, ceiling lost in darkness, the air filled with a low hum that vibrates through your bones. The floor is lined with old tiles, most broken or worn smooth, but some pulsing faintly beneath thin threads of silver light. On the walls, shelves carved into the stone cradle jars, books bound in thick hides, and crystals that flicker as you pass. None of it feels new. None of it feels forgotten. It feels waiting, a long breath held in secret. You move slowly, every step pressing into something unspoken. Behind you, the stone door seals itself once more, and the light in the chamber dims, reshaping around your presence. Amari moves to the center of the room, where a round platform rises slightly above the floor, etched with symbols you do not recognize. Yet your gaze lingers on them, as if recalling a dream half remembered. He places the box gently in the center, and as he withdraws his hands, the runes beneath it begin to glow, not steadily, but in a slow, breathing rhythm, like a heart. You feel it echo in your chest, pulling at something deeper than magic. It responds to proximity, Amari murmurs, his voice lost easily in the vast hush of the room. To intent, to lineage. You glance at him, unsure what he means, but he doesn't look at you. His gaze is far away, lost in the flickering of the runes. Then he steps back, letting the box alone in the circle of light. For a moment, nothing happens. And then, very faintly, a whisper. Not a word, but a tone, like the suggestion of a language sliding beneath water. It curls around you, slips behind your ears, tastes like wind over cold stone. Your skin prickles. The room seems to lean in. Do you hear it? Amari asks softly. You nod before realizing it's not quite hearing, not with ears. The whisper is inside you, tracing old rooms of your mind as if looking for a window to open. You suddenly remember a dream from years ago, running through a hallway of mirrors, chased not by shadows, but by reflections that moved too slowly. You hadn't thought of it since, but now it feels like it was always part of this. Amari watches you carefully. You're listening. That's the first part. He steps around the circle, trailing his fingers along the etched floor. This room is older than Hogwarts, older than magic as we name it. It was built for those who could not be taught, only remembered. His words are gentle, and yet they strike something tender within you. A part of you begins to wonder if you've been here before. Not in this life, perhaps, but in one of memory or blood. The room flickers again, the glow growing warmer, like embers just beginning to stir beneath ash. The box shifts subtly, and the air tightens as if the very walls are holding their breath. Then something beneath everything laughs. It is not cruel. It is not joyous. It is the laughter of recognition, low and layered, as though the chamber itself has found amusement in your presence. The sound curls and vanishes before you can be sure it was ever real. You turn to Amari, your voice thin. What's inside the box? He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he looks to the ceiling where the darkness does not end. His expression unreadable. Not what, he says finally. Who? And before you can ask, the runes beneath the box flare brightly once more. Then, stillness. For a long moment, nothing moves. Even the whispering seems to pause. The light around the box pulses once, then begins to fade. As if retreating into slumber, Amari walks toward it again, retrieving the object carefully, as though lifting something newborn and fragile. He turns to you, and for the first time his gaze is uncertain. It's waking, he says, barely audible. And now that it knows you, it won't forget. The chamber remains quiet, but the air feels heavier now, like something has shifted inside it, subtly, permanently. When you both exit, the mist-formed door reclaims its shape behind you. The corridor awaits, unchanged. But you are not the same. And you know, neither is the box. You find Callan by the edge of the Black Lake, where the stones meet water in slow, smooth rhythms, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Evening has begun to settle, casting the world in twilight hues, violet, pale blue, the gold of a sun just slipping behind the forbidden forest. The air is cool, sweet with the scent of wild mint and moss. and filled with the hum of insects weaving nightfall into the grass. Callan sits cross-legged, shoes tossed aside, his toes dipping into the water with childlike care. Beside him lies his wand, snapped cleanly in two, the broken ends wrapped haphazardly in ribbon. He doesn't notice you at first. His eyes are on the lake, where ripples drift without cause. You step closer, and he turns, startled, but then smiles. Too wide, too quick. The kind of smile that tries to distract from something deeper. "I thought I'd hear you coming," he says, brushing hair from his brow, though there's no wind. His voice is light, musical, but it carries the tremor of someone pretending not to be afraid. You sit beside him, the stones warm from the last of the day's sun. For a moment, you both watch the lake. The surface moves like glass in motion, smooth but never still. "You were with Amari," Callan says quietly, not asking, just knowing. "I saw you both come back. You looked different." You don't answer at first. How do you explain a chamber that whispers? A box that breathes? A presence that remembers you? Callan picks up his wand, turning it slowly between his fingers. The break is clean, but it hasn't been repaired. You know why. Some things, once broken, carry a scar that resists healing. Callan sighs and looks down at the water. "It happened last year, during a lesson. Professor Kettleburn said the blast was a learning experience." He chuckles, but it's hollow. "It's not the wand I miss. It's what it meant, what it said about me, that I could be something, do something. Now I just feel like a spell with no incantation." You watch him closely. There's more. Beneath the surface of his voice is the shape of something deeper. A wound not just from failure, but from something lost. He shakes his head, setting the wand down. "There's something wrong in the castle," he says suddenly. "Things are moving when they shouldn't. Paintings blinking when no one's watching. I heard whispering in the Ravenclaw stairwell last night. No one was there. You feel it too. That slow shift in the air, like the castle is dreaming a little louder than usual. It's not just ghosts," he adds, his voice now tinged with something tighter. "It feels like the walls are listening." You think of the chamber beneath the bathroom, of the box and its heartbeat, of Amari's eyes. You don't tell Callan everything, not yet, but something in you aches to include him. Maybe because his fear feels honest, or maybe because the loneliness in his voice mirrors something you didn't realize you were carrying too. "Amari found something," you say slowly. "Something old, sealed." Callan looks up sharply. His eyes are wide, too bright. "Sealed how?" You describe the box carefully, the chamber, the whispering walls. You speak of the runes that pulsed like memory, of the laughter that felt like recognition. Callan listens in silence, his expression tightening with every word. "When you finish..." He says nothing for a long while, just sits breathing, like he's trying to match the rhythm of the lake again. Then, in a voice just above a whisper, he says, "My wand broke because something touched me." You turn, confused. He looks back at the castle, where its towers rise against the purple sky. It was during a dueling exercise. Only second years, nothing serious. But when I faced Nora Pendrell, I felt something crawl through me, just for a second. My wand shattered mid-spell. She said she saw a light come from my chest. Not white, not gold. Something deep, blue and black, like ink in water. He swallows hard, eyes distant. I don't remember it, but I dream about it. And sometimes I hear it laughing, not loud, but behind everything. Like a secret trying not to be found. You stir him, your breath catching. The laughter in the chamber, the echo of something old. You begin to wonder, was it the box that chose you, or something inside you that responded to it? You reach into your pocket, fingers brushing against the seam of the note Amari gave you earlier. A map, roughly drawn, more like a sketch, leading deeper underground. There's more, you whisper. The box was only the beginning. Callan meets your gaze, and for a moment, the mask drops. All the brightness, the jokes, the nervousness. Beneath it, there's something else. Something fractured and ready. He picks up the broken wand again, then tucks it into his belt, as if it still matters. Then I guess I'm coming with you, he says, with a small defiant grin. If something down there is laughing at me, I'd rather look it in the eye. The night gathers around you like a cloak, shadows long and fluid. From the direction of the forbidden forest, an owl cries. A sharp, clean note that slices through the hush. You both stand, your steps lighter now, somehow steadier for being shared. The castle windows begin to glow as torches are lit within, golden warmth against the dark. But the warmth does not reach you, not fully. You know now that something beneath Hogwarts is stirring, that it remembers. And as you and Callan walk back toward the quiet corridors and the secrets buried under stone and time, the air seems to shift around you once again, whispering your name in voices not your own. The night wraps itself tightly around the castle, as if the stars themselves are holding their breath. Inside the stone halls of Hogwarts, shadows stretch like long silent thoughts, pooling in corners and behind portraits that no longer move. You and Callan make your way through the second floor corridor, your footsteps hushed against the ancient stones. The echoes feel distant, swallowed quickly by the air, as if the castle doesn't want to draw attention. The map Amari gave you trembles slightly in your hand, its ink flickering in a way that suggests it's being rewritten even as you follow it. The paper smells faintly of cinnamon and ash, and the lines shift softly, guiding you not with direction, but intent. There are no names, no room labels, only curves and spirals, and the occasional symbol that seems to glow when your eyes rest on it too long. Callan walks beside you, holding his wand like a hilt rather than a tool, the broken end wrapped tightly in cloth. He says little, his usual chattiness replaced by a kind of quiet alertness. He doesn't look afraid, but his shoulders are tense, like he's listening to something just out of reach. You understand the feeling. The deeper you move into the heart of the castle, the more you sense it. That quiet awareness in the air. Not hostility, not exactly. More like curiosity. 1,000 invisible eyes, watching through stone and silence. The air smells of dust and old parchment, but also of something older, metallic and sweet, like blood rubbed into the grain of wood. At the end of the corridor, behind the statue of the serpent, you find it, the door from the map. It has no handle, no hinges, no sign of ever having opened. It simply exists, carved seamlessly into the wall. The surface of the door is smoother than any stone you've touched. Cool, almost damp, and strangely soft, like skin stretched tight over bone. Etched into its center is a single symbol, an open eye, rendered not in ink or paint, but by absence. A depression carved so deeply you feel you could fall into it. The moment your hand hovers near it, the air stiffens. Callan draws a shaky breath. It feels like it's looking at us, he murmurs, his voice thin and careful. You don't respond. Your thoughts are pulling inward, drawn to the slow, rhythmic thrum you feel beneath your feet. It's faint, but growing, like something waking far below. Amari's words return to you. It's waking, and now that it knows you, it won't forget. You press your fingers to the eye, and the world pauses. It doesn't open, not in any traditional sense. Instead, the wall ripples outward in concentric rings, as if disturbed by a stone dropped in water. Then, with a sigh, like wind leaving lungs, it folds inward, revealing a narrow passage, lit by the same golden runes from the chamber below. The smell that emerges is thick, damp, and cold, earthy, like a storm cellar long sealed. You step inside, and Callan follows without hesitation. The walls here feel different, warmer somehow, pulsing faintly with life. Runes shift along their surface like fish beneath the surface of a stream, darting just beyond clear vision. Your path winds downward again, but not spiraling. This is a straight descent, as if leading to a single purpose. You feel your own heartbeat change its rhythm, syncing with something far older. At the base of the passage, the corridor opens into a circular chamber that hums with quiet sound. Not music, but memory. The walls are covered in writing, rows and rows of tiny hand-carved symbols that shimmer like oil on water. At the center of the chamber stands a pedestal, and atop it rests another object. Not a box this time. A key, but not made of metal or wood. This key is formed of woven light, threads of gold and deep blue spun together like silk. It flickers when you breathe too close, as if shy. Callan steps forward, gaze wide. It's beautiful, he whispers. And it is. But it is also impossible. Nothing that delicate should exist in this place of stone and shadow. You reach out, but the moment your fingers brush the key, the chamber groans and the walls shiver. The runes begin to bleed light, and from somewhere above, or perhaps below, a voice speaks. It is not language. It is feeling, not a question, a warning. You step back instinctively, and the light dims. Callan touches your shoulder. It knows we're not ready. His voice trembles, but not with fear, with awe. This isn't just magic. It's memory. The castle is remembering something through us. You look around the chamber again, this time more carefully. The runes along the walls. They aren't just writing. They're names. Thousands of them. Some you recognize, legends, founders, ghosts. Others are lost, erased by time. And at the center of them all, a blank space, wide and smooth. Waiting. Callan touches the edge of the pedestal. Maybe the key isn't meant to open a door. He says softly. Maybe it's meant to open someone. The words settle in the air like dust, lingering in the glow. Your thoughts flash to Amari, to the way his eyes changed when he held the box, to the way he said, "Not all of us are human." You begin to understand. The key isn't for a lock. It's for a memory, a soul, something buried inside flesh and blood. And someone, is trying to wake it. The silence deepens. Then, as if called, the door behind you closes, sealing you in. But you are not afraid. Not now. The key pulses again, warm, like a heartbeat in your palm. And you know, without being told, this part of the story has only just begun. The chamber does not remain silent for long. As the last murmur of stone sliding back into place fades, the air begins to move. It is not a breeze, not truly, but a hush, a delicate shift in pressure that makes your skin prickle, as though something invisible has entered the space with you. The glow from the runes on the walls grows dimmer, softening to the color of candlelight pasted through amber. You and Callan stand close, the key between you still flickering gently. The atmosphere feels thick, like standing underwater in a forgotten dream. You can hear it now, just beyond the edge of sound, a tapestry of whispers threading through the chamber tone, voices speaking in language you've never heard yet somehow understand. They carry no emotion, no urgency, only the certainty of memory long buried. The key pulses once more, and with that pulse, the whispers turn to you. Callan steps back instinctively, his fingers wrapping tightly around the broken hilt of his wand. His eyes are wide, and though his mouth is still, you see the tremble in his throat as he swallows a growing dread. They're not just voices, he whispers at last, as though saying it aloud will make it more real. They're watching us, or remembering us. You nod without knowing why. The whispers do not feel malevolent. If anything, they are curious, like a chorus of minds leaning in to recognize something they thought was lost. And then, among them, you hear one that rises above the rest. It is not louder, but clearer, closer. It speaks a name. Yours. Spoken in a voice you do not know, but that feels like a thread pulled from the very center of you. It is not a call. It is an acknowledgement, an unveiling. The moment the name fades, the walls shift. No longer just covered in runes, they begin to reveal shapes. Faces carved in shallow relief, eyes closed and expressions serene. Dozens of them, arranged in spirals that grow toward the ceiling like petals of a vast stone flower. Each face is unique, yet somehow familiar, as if they are dreams you once had and forgot upon waking. The key trembles in your hand. Callan stares at the carvings, breathing hard now, his voice cracking with wonder. They're us. You blink. Not us now, he adds. Us before, or after. He gestures toward one near the center, softly carved, features delicate and unreadable. That one, I've seen it before, in a dream, years ago. It was singing. You take a cautious step forward, and the whispers grow louder. Not intrusive, but welcoming, like an embrace made of sound. The pedestal begins to hum, and the key grows warmer. You feel it now, not just in your hand, but in your chest, your spine, your bones. The resonance, like something inside you is beginning to remember. A memory not lived, but inherited. You close your eyes, The chamber fades. In its place, stone corridors long turned to dust, corridors lined with lightless lamps, and a voice, not spoken, but felt, saying, "We gave it everything, even names." You open your eyes, gasping. The chamber remains, unchanged. But the carvings are watching now. Their eyes still closed, drawn, yet you feel their attention shift. They know you. They were waiting. Callan speaks again, but his voice is no longer his alone. It echoes strangely, layered with another tone, older and softer. "We're not the first to carry this story," he says. "And we won't be the last. But something forgot, and now it wants to be remembered." You turn to him, startled, but he doesn't notice. His gaze is distant, filled with light you cannot see. The key flares between your hands, and suddenly the chamber responds. A circle of runes beneath your feet ignites, each symbol blooming like a flower catching sunlight. You cannot move. The space becomes weightless. The veil thins. In that moment, you see Amari, not as he was, but changed, standing within the stone flower chamber, yet elsewhere. Eyes glowing with silver fire. His hand outstretched, as if reaching through time. He looks tired, not afraid, but distant. "You were never meant to see it this way," his voice says, not through the air, but through the pulse of the key. "But it chose you. It always would. You are the last echo of its first breath." The vision falters. The light stutters. Amari's face begins to blur, as though he's being pulled away. "Don't let it seal again. If it forgets once more, none of us will remain." Then he's gone. The light vanishes. The chamber dims to silence once more. You fall to your knees, breath shallow, chest tight. Callan stumbles beside you, gripping your shoulder. "Did you see him?" he gasps. You nod. His eyes are wide, wild with wonder. "What does it mean?" he asks. But you don't know. Not yet. Only that something has begun to move through you both. Something vast and ancient, patient and unfinished. The key is gone. Not fallen. Not stolen. Absorbed. You feel it now, resting somewhere within you, humming like a thread in your blood. Outside, far above the stone and soil, the world turns in its sleep, unaware that its dreamers have stirred once again. A deep sound rumbles through the chamber, distant, low, like thunder in slow motion. The carved faces begin to close their mouths, lips sealing one by one. The runes fade. The path behind you opens once more. You look at Callan, and he at you. The silence now is different. Not empty, but listening, waiting. You rise together, and though your steps are slow, your hearts carry the fire of something waking. You don't speak. There is no need. The story has found you, and it will not be silent again. Dawn begins to stretch long figures across the sky, painting the towers of Hogwarts in mist and diluted gold. The castle wakes slowly, unaware of what stirs beneath its roots. You and Callan slip through the corridors like ghosts, quiet and unseen, the weight of what you carry sinking deeper with each step. Neither of you has spoken since leaving the chamber. Something about words now feels inadequate. like they cannot hold the shape of what you felt. The key, if it can still be called that, hums in your chest like a quiet second heartbeat. Every now and then, you feel it vibrate, not with warning, but recognition, like it's brushing up against the edges of something long lost. The whole smell of warm stone and wood smoke, breakfast fires crackling to life in kitchens far below. But to you, everything feels slightly out of place, as if the world is one breath behind. Callan breaks the silence only once, as you both cross the viaduct that overlooks the lake. His voice is low, hesitant. Do you feel it too? Like it's pulling you somewhere? You nod. You've felt it since you emerged from the stone flower chamber. A gentle tug, not urgent, but insistent, like a soft thread stitched into your bones, leading toward water. The lake lies below, still and silver, the forbidden forest mirrored in its perfect glass. A pair of owls slice through the morning light, wings silent. As you descend toward the boathouse path, the air begins to change. The scent of damp earth and wet stone grows stronger, tinged with something else, older than mildew or lake water at the metallic sharpness, a trace of something sleeping in the silt. The water greets you with silence. You stand at the edge, the ripples lapping at moss-covered rocks, and the sky above is full of slow-moving clouds, like ships drifting through memory. It's Callan who notices it first. The circle of stones, half buried in mud, forming a pattern that looks random at a glance, but pulses when you focus your gaze. You crouch, tracing your fingers over the edges. The moment your skin brushes the central stone, a vibration travels up your arm, not painful, but electric, like recognition. The key hums within your chest, and the stones begin to rearrange themselves, not visibly moving, but reorienting, realigning, as if acknowledging your presence. The circle opens like a spiral, a path downward into the lake itself. Water should flood the opening, but it doesn't. Instead, the lake retreats, not in waves, but in breath, as though exhaling slowly to make room for you. The earth beneath your feet grows firm, a narrow stairway revealing itself, winding down beneath the shallows. Callan stares, wide-eyed. No one's ever seen this, not even in the restricted section. You nod, though your voice fails you. Something about the stillness feels sacred. Not holy, but preserved, protected by intention. The deeper you descend, the quieter the world becomes. Each step down the damp, smooth stone feels like walking through layers of time. The light from above grows dim, replaced by a soft glow that rises from the walls themselves. Faint strands of blue and gold that pulse like veins beneath skin. The stairway ends in a cabin, circular and vast, with a ceiling lost in mist. In its center lies a pool, black and motionless. Not of water, but memory. Around the edges, small alcoves are carved into the stone, each containing an object. A wand snapped in two, a book bound in feathers, a clock without hands. You feel the pressure change again. A presence is here, not watching, but waiting. The moment you step near the pool, the surface ripples and you see it. Not a reflection, but a vision. Yourself, but older, worn, eyes filled with sorrow and fire alike. This future you hold something in your hands, The box, the same one Amari carried. Only now it is open, and inside you see a single flame burning. Callan gasps beside you. That's not just a memory. That's a choice. You glance at him. His face is pale, but steady. He seems to understand something you haven't spoken. That box, it's not meant to hold something. It's meant to remember something. Or someone. He kneels beside the pool, touching its surface. The water doesn't react, but the chamber does. One of the alcoves lights up, faintly. Inside it, you see a mirror, not enchanted, just plain. And yet when you step before it, the reflection it offers isn't yours. It's Amari, but not as you've seen him. He's younger, terrified, alone, holding the box against his chest in the rain, shivering. You don't hear his voice, but you feel his fear, his longing. The memory folds around you like fog. When the vision fades, you're left with the lingering ache of it. Callan rises. Whatever this is, it's connected to him, to the room, to the box, maybe even to the castle. His eyes search yours. He wasn't asking us to help him. He was asking us to remember him. The idea settles heavily in your chest. You recall the way Amari looked at you, not as a fellow student, but as a sentinel handing off a torch, as if he knew he wouldn't return. The ripples in the pool begin to settle once more, and for a brief moment, you hear music, faint and strange, not from instruments, from the stone itself, a lullaby long forgotten. The chamber begins to grow colder, not with threat, but finality. It is time to leave. But something comes with you, etched into your senses. The memory of fire in water, of voices behind stone, of a door with no key. Except the one that lives inside you now. The lake breathes again as you ascend. The entrance vanishes behind you, swallowed by time. And above, Hogwarts continues to stir, unaware. But not for long. Something has been touched, stirred. And from beneath the veil, the story reaches out once more. Evening drapes the castle in silks of violet and dusk blue. As you return through the grounds, the lake now quiet behind you, its surface smooth as polished obsidian. The world continues, just as it always has. Students drifting between towers, laughter echoing in courtyards, the scent of warm bread floating from the great hall. But to you, everything feels suspended in a hush, as if time itself is holding its breath. You walk beside Callan, neither of you speaking. The rhythm of your footsteps the only sound. The memory of the chamber beneath the lake is still vivid in your bones, as if you carry it inside you, like the heat from a fire long extinguished but not forgotten. In your chest, the key pulses, no longer frantic, no longer urgent, but steady, as though it now waits for a different kind of answer. It's in the hallway outside the abandoned second-floor lavatory that you find Amari again. He's waiting, just as he was that first night, back against the stone, arms crossed loosely over his chest, eyes cast downward. But something in him has shifted. His presence no longer feels like frost on glass. It is still quiet, still watchful, but now there's a warmth threaded into it, subtle and sorrowful, like candlelight flickering beneath winter skin. He doesn't move when he sees you, doesn't speak, only only watches, his gaze not piercing but patient. You realize then that he's been watching longer than you knew. Not just this week, not just this year, but perhaps since before you were ever meant to cross paths. He gives a nod, barely a breath of movement, and then he turns and slips inside the chamber once more. You follow without hesitation. The familiar scent of rusted water and old secrets welcomes you, and the air seems to hold its breath as the sink begins to shift open again. This time, the descent feels different. It's not the chill or the damp that makes your pulse rise, but a sense of return. Not a return to danger, but to something unfinished. A story once silenced, now daring to complete itself. Callan stays behind, watching, as if he knows this last step is yours alone. The tunnel beneath draws you in. Stones glow faintly under your steps. The scent of moss, magic, and dust thickens. And ahead, light. A soft, wavering glow that flickers with gold. Amari stands at the heart of the room where you first found him. The box once more in his hands. It's open now. Inside, the flame flickers gently. Golden, pulsing, alive. But it's not fire that warms the air, it's Amari. A memory that doesn't belong to just him, or to you, but to something older, vast and aching. The kind of memory that builds itself from stories whispered through bloodlines and bedtime tales and dreams too old to name. It was never locked, he says quietly, eyes on the flame. Not really. It just forgot what it was meant to protect. His voice is softer now, no longer cloaked in riddles. Until you reminded it. You take a step closer. The flame responds, not by growing brighter, but deeper. Its core darkens into a quiet red, like embers under ash. What is it? You ask. Amari looks at you then, truly looks, and there's a kind of sadness in his eyes that feels like the hush after a lullaby ends. A story, he says, one the founders buried, one the walls refuse to speak, but stone doesn't forget forever. He closes the box gently, and the flame remains glowing faintly through the seams. They tried to erase the ones who didn't fit, the ones who saw magic not as poésie, but as song, the ones who remembered the earth's first breath. His fingers traced the edge of the box. They called them dangerous, called them lost, but they weren't lost. They were waiting. You understand then? This was never about a weapon, or a curse, or even about Amari. It was about remembering, about recovering the story of those who were erased, not with malice, but with fear. A lineage not of blood, but of resonance. The gift to hear what stone remembers, to carry flame not as fire, but as song. Why me? You whisper. Amari's gaze doesn't waver. Because you listened. Because the key found you. And because the story chose to begin again with someone who wouldn't burn it for power, but keep it alive. He holds out the box. The flame inside dims as your fingers touch it. Not out of fear, out of trust. As your hand close around it, warmth floods you. Not heat, not light, but presence. The feeling of being seen not as what you are, but as everything you could be. The chamber fades around you for a moment. You stand in a grove of trees beneath a sky painted with 2 moons. Shapes move through mist. Laughter, music, glowing threads weaving from hand to hand. Then it's gone. You're back. and the box is silent, but not empty. It's waiting, listening. You turn to Amari, but he's stepping away, already part of the shadows. "You won't see me again," he says, not with sorrow, not with fear, just finality. "But you'll feel me, in the stones, in the stories, in the places the wind sings and the flame listens." He vanishes into the dark, like a breath drawn back into the earth. You emerge from the tunnel, not with victory, but with a quiet that feels like sunrise. Callan meets your gaze. He doesn't ask questions. He just nods. And the two of you begin the slow walk back toward the towers, the box cradled gently in your hands, its warmth threading into the night. Around you, the castle breathes, old, immense, and perhaps, just perhaps, ready to remember. You do not speak of it again, not for many nights. But sometimes, when the wind slips strangely through the windows or the stones beneath your feet hum a note too deep to hear, you both look up, and you remember. Not all magic is taught. Some is remembered. Some is sung in silence, flame carried between heartbeats. And some waits, deep beneath stone, for someone willing to listen. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Cozy Storytime. Let the quiet linger just a little longer, as the final echoes of the tale fade into the hush around you. Feel the warmth of it settle in your chest, like embers in a hearth. Gentle, steady, and glowing. You've walked with secrets and song through shadows that whispered and stone that remembered. You followed a flame, not to chase answers, but to carry a story that asked only to be heard. Let that softness stay with you now. You don't need to hold on to the details, just the feeling, the comfort of being wrapped in something ancient and kind, something that asks nothing more than your stillness. You are safe here. You are exactly where you need to be. The night deepens. Stars turn slowly overhead. And somewhere in the quiet of the world, the castle sleeps again. But you carry a little of its magic within you now. Maybe not the kind of magic that casts spells or conjures fire, but the kind that listens to silence and knows what stories live beneath it. As your breath grows slower, as your thoughts begin to loosen like threads in moonlight, allow yourself to rest, to float gently into the spaces between dreams, where memory and imagination touch like soft wings. There's nothing more to do, no place to be, just the rhythm of your breath and the stillness of the moment. Let the story stay with you, like a lullaby humming quietly behind your heart. Good night, dear listener. May your dreams be kind and your sleep deep and unbroken. You are held here, in the hush between words. Come back anytime you need the quiet. And until next time, stay warm, stay soft, and keep listening.
you.